Jeremy Ben-Ami, founder and president of J Street, enormously powerful, influential organization in our camp, a veteran of US politics and the Clinton White House, I understand, deeply rooted in Israel, son of founding Zionist family from Tel Aviv, and has built J Street into a national force of great influence that we can learn from. So, Jeremy, over to you.
Thanks, Stephen, and it is an honor for me to be at my first ever World Zionist Congress. It is interesting for me. I understand there are a number of people in the room with multi-generational connections to the labor movement, and I stand here today in front of the image of a hero of mine, Yitzhak Rabin, and it just calls to mind my father. How many people in the room know the name Altalena? But most of you know the Altalena. Most of you don't know that my father bought the Altalena, bought most of the arms on the Altalena, and was on the boat when it was fired on by the forces led by Yitzhak Rabin in 1948. So it is with a full heart that I stand in front of you, talk about Achdut, talk about unity, coming together on this 30th anniversary of Yitzhak Rabin's murder, for daring to believe that we could have a better future and a different future for Israel and for its neighbors. This room, all of us, whether we descend from the founders of labor Zionism or are more recent converts, we are the heirs of the movement that founded this country. We honor the memory today of Yitzhak Rabin, but we must also shoulder the weight of his unfinished work. He understood 3 decades ago and before that the time had come to end the era of this country's fighting. The time had come for a new era of peace, coexistence with the neighbors, and of focusing on building a better future for the generations to come. Enough of tears and bloodshed. You may remember Rabin's words on the White House lawn over 3 decades ago. It was a moment of history that I was fortunate enough to witness in person. As one of this country's greatest soldiers, Rabin understood that true strength flows not only through the trigger finger, but through the outstretched hand. And I saw that day that in pursuit of peace, he was willing to shake the hand of the man that he once fought, not because he trusted him, but because he knew there was no alternative to ending the conflict. He stood ready to lead Israel on a different path, a path defined, as we see here in Yair Golan, a path defined by courage and pragmatism and the conviction that the future depends on peace with our neighbors. And then Rabin's life was cut short and his dream deferred. And in the decades since, we have seen more bloodshed, more tears, more violence, more pain. To this day, Rabin's voice calls to us all. His challenge echoes in this room. Who will finish the work that I began? That is our charge as 21st century liberal Zionists, Jews who know that Zionism without peace, justice, and democracy cannot endure. We gather not only to remember but to recommit to a vision of Zionism that is grounded in security through peace, and to make Rabin's legacy our mission. We have to acknowledge that the worst of what Rabin sought to prevent has come to pass in the last several years. The horror of October 7th, the murder, the brutality, the violation of every moral and human boundary, it would have brought him unbearable pain. Yet he would not have hesitated to fight. Rabin, the soldier and the commander, he never hesitated to defend Israel. But I believe he would have been appalled by the way this war was waged and by the words of some of those in this country who led it. He was a man of the army, but he was also a man of conscience. And he embodied the tradition of Tohar Haneshek, the purity of arms, a moral code older than Zionism itself. It teaches that even in defense, even in our fury, we are bound by a higher standard. We fight because we must, not because we can. We fight to defend life, never to devalue it. And so even as we mark with joy the return of the living hostages and some of our dead, we grieve for all who have suffered in Israel and in Gaza alike. We must say with honesty and love that we have strayed from the moral compass that Rabin held so dear. Israel's strength has always come not only from its weapons, but from its values, from the belief that survival must never come at the expense of our humanity. And I believe that if Rabin were here today, he would say to us, is this the Israel we dreamed of? Is this the Israel I gave my life to build? No. Every nation faces its moment of truth, a moment that demands that we ask, who are we? What kind of a country do we want to be? What values will define our people in the eyes of history? So Israel and the Jewish people, as Yair said, we stand precisely at such a moment of history, at a fork in the road. There is one path, that of the present government, and that is a path of fear and division and domination. Incitement is used to cling to power. Democracy is treated not as a sacred trust, but as an obstacle. That path deepens occupation, entrenches inequality, extinguishes hope. It is the path of Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, and Netanyahu, a politics that trades in hate, that substitutes ethno-nationalism for morality, and that makes room for only a narrow definition of who is a real Jew and a true Israeli. That path leads not to security, but to isolation, not to peace, but to permanent conflict. It will divide our people and shatter the bond between Israel and much of world Jewry, especially younger generations who can no longer reconcile Jewish values with the policies they see being implemented by this government. And then there's the other path. That is the path that Rabin sought to walk and for which he gave his life. That is the path of courage over fear, hope over despair, of a Jewish homeland, but one that is fully democratic for all its citizens. It's a path for those who know peace and security are inseparable. The Zionism that inspired generations wedded our right to self-determination with our obligation to justice, equality, and compassion. It understood that Israel's strength lies not in walls or weapons, but in the moral vision that gave birth to the state. Friends, this is the choice before us: the path of democracy or authoritarianism, the path of peace or endless war, the path of Rabin or Netanyahu. The world is watching, our children are watching, and history will render its judgment. I came to Israel as part of the Hatikva delegation, and we've discussed the importance of the name that couldn't be more fitting. We who came here on the Hatikva slate, we stand for hope. Hope for this country, hope for our people, hope that the nation state we dreamed of for 2,000 years can reflect the best of who we are. Yes, Israel must above all be secure, strong enough to defend its people and repel every threat. Liberal Zionists, we must not shy away from the fight to defend the state and its people, but strength alone cannot define the Jewish state. Israel must reflect the best of our values, the moral fiber that sustained us through centuries of exile and struggle. Not all of us live here, but the state belongs to all of us. It shapes how the world understands what it means to be Jewish today. It is the proving ground for the values we teach our children, our core to Jewish identity. When people look at Israel, they should see not only a fortress, but a light. Not only power, but purpose. A society embodying the justice and compassion that our prophets demanded and our ancestors prayed for. That is the Zionism we represent. That is the Zionism of Hatikva. So, my friends, this is the moment we are called to meet. For all the heartbreak of the last 2 years, we face not only steep challenge, but extraordinary opportunity. And Yair spoke about that. The chance, I view it, to complete the work of Zionism itself. For more than 75 years, Israel has defended its existence. It has endured war, terror, isolation, and hate, and it has survived and thrived. But survival cannot be the end point of Zionism. The mission of this century's Zionism must be to fulfill the mission, the dream on which this movement was founded. In our generation, we can define Israel's permanent borders. We can live in peace with our neighbors and be accepted not as an isolated presence, but as an integral part of the region. Imagine Israel in normal relations, not with 3 or 5 neighbors, but with the entirety of the Arab League, all 22 members of the Arab League, and the Organization of Islamic States as well, united in commerce and culture and shared prosperity. A 23-state solution. An Israel that lives securely besides a viable, independent Palestinian state, and together joins a peaceful community of nations that stretches from the Mediterranean to the Gulf. This is not a fantasy. This is a future within our reach if we have the courage to choose it, to choose leaders who know that Israel's future depends not on perpetual conflict, but on reconciliation, to choose democracy over demagoguery, to choose a Zionism confident enough to embrace peace as the ultimate expression of Jewish self-determination. Fulfilling the vision of Zionism means building the state the founders envisioned, based on freedom, justice, and peace as envisioned by the prophets of Israel. It means ensuring that Israel remains the national home of the Jewish people, democratic, secure, and true to its values, a beacon of what our people have always believed, that strength and righteousness are not opposites, but partners. We are the generation called to finish what Rabin began, to pick up his mantle and carry it forward. If we will it, if we believe it, if we fight for it, if we demand it, it is no dream. Let that be the spirit we take into this Congress, let that be the legacy that we offer to the next generation and to the state of Israel that we love. Together, let us complete the work of Zionism.